After losing her father, this little girl's life took an amazing turn when a millionaire discovered her hidden potential. Emma felt adrift. The sun glimmered off the playground, illuminating the colors of childhood all around her, yet a shadow darkened her heart. The swings swayed gently, echoing the laughter of children while she sat motionless, tears streaming down her cheeks, feeling lost without her father's guiding light. His dreams of scientific exploration were now just echoes, whispers of what could have been. How could she honor a man who believed so deeply in wonder, when her own world felt so heavy with sadness? With each sob, the weight of expectations pressed against her heart. Her father's ambition felt like a tie around her throat, tightening with every moment she spent mourning his absence. Why couldn't she just smile like everyone else? Why had the world turned gray? It felt like a betrayal of his memory to entertain possibilities beyond her grief. She wrestled with memories of late-night talks, of designs he sketched in the garage. Could she ever find that hope again, or would pursuing her dreams mean letting go? Just as despair threatened to swallow her whole, a voice broke through the cacophony of her thoughts. Jack, the sandy-haired boy from town with a smile that seemed to glow, approached her. His carefree presence felt like an intrusion, rich and privileged, like a beam of light in her shadowed room. She felt that familiar pull and interest sparked in him that mirrored complexities she hid from others. "Do you want to talk?" he asked, his eyes genuine. Hesitantly, she nodded. As they spoke, she shared tales of her father's garage projects, his dreams stitched into her small heart. Their friendship grew, transforming her summer into an unexpected adventure. Jack introduced her to high-tech labs, fostering her curiosity and allowing Emma's world to expand beyond personal loss. Yet, whispers circled the poor girl and the billionaire's son, and with each quiet remark, Emma's heart sank. Was this the spark of friendship? Or merely a reminder of her isolation? Before long, she felt torn between the shimmering world Jack opened to her and the suffocating loyalty to her late father's memory. Then the phone call shattered the fragile balance. "Emma? There's something you need to know," her mother said. The revelation turned her upside down. Jack's family had sabotaged her father's dreams, leading to the closure of a groundbreaking project that might have changed lives. Anguish flared up inside her, twisting her stomach. Was it betrayal to dream, to pursue a friendship built on family secrets? She felt a knot tightening within, merging pain and confusion, as she wrestled with guilt for wanting more. Jack too was caught in a swirl, his privilege now a heavy burden, and the love he showed felt tainted. Would embracing their friendship cost her father's legacy? Emma stood at a crossroads, heart racing as all these emotions tangled in her mind. Could pursuing her own identity mean letting go of the past? Just as she felt equilibrium slipping away, a profound decision loomed. The air around them thickened, garnished with unspoken fears and the desire for healing. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each second that passed, tension coiled tighter, threatening to snap. Emma's eyes shifted between Jack and the memories of her father. The stakes felt monumental. Did she dare cross into a future where joy could emerge, or would she sink back into the familiar embrace of sorrow? The choice was agonizing, a potent mix of anticipation and dread swirling inside her. Jack's features blurred in her vision as indecision weighed heavily. Would she open her heart, risking the very core of her identity, or retreat back into the shrouded safety of her father's ideals? The moment stretched into eternity, and Emma knew profound repercussions awaited whatever choice she would ultimately make. The pain of each unresolved feeling pressed down on her, threatening to break her resolve. Her journey was just beginning, but would it lead toward healing or another layer of anguish? With Jack beside her, she found strength in his presence, yet felt the pull of a past she could not ignore. Emma could only brace herself for the wave of uncertainty, the knowledge that tomorrow loomed closer, carrying the weight of their intertwined fates. The silence that settled between Emma and Jack was thick, a curtain drawn against the noise of the playground. She could hear the distant laughter of children playing, a jarring contrast to the tumult of emotions swirling inside her. Each fragment of her father's memory felt heavier, almost suffocating as she inched closer to making a choice that could redefine her existence. As Emma's gaze faltered from Jack's reassuring smile to the ground, each blade of grass seemed to carry a different memory, a grounding in both pain and possibility. She clenched her fists, the heat of conflict rising in her chest. If she embraced Jack, would it mean devaluing her father's legacy? Would a new friendship mean forgetting? Emma, Jack started softly, his tone seeking her eyes. I understand if you need time. Just know I'm here. His sincerity struck a chord in her. Didn't her father always tell her that true connections could stand the test of adversity? She had been examining the barriers that divided them, despite the warmth of Jack's presence. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment she could break free from the shackles of grief and guilt. Emma took a deep breath, the very act forcing her to confront her inner turmoil. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered, the vulnerability of her admission clawing at her resolve. Behind her words lay the complex web of regret and longing tightening around her heart. Jack leaned in decisively, sensing the shift. Let us explore together. We can honor your father without losing the opportunity to create our own dreams. Maybe we could work on building something he would have liked? His eyes sparkled with hope, each word planting a seed of longing in the dark soil of her doubts. The notion was intoxicating. A path of ambition and invention woven with her father's ideals. Could she resurrect his dreams through her own aspirations? Yet, a flicker of fear whispered, questioning if she had the ability to endure the weight of those dreams alone. She thought of the designs her father had sketched, the intricate blueprints of ideas that held him captive in countless hours of experimentation. There was brilliance in those drawings, a luminescent glow waiting to be realized. Was it sacrilege to want to pick up where he left off? Would it beckon a new dawn or drag along shadows of betrayal? The decision hung precariously in the balance as Emma found herself gazing back into Jack's earnest eyes, feeling a strange mixture of affinity and apprehension. I don't want to fail, she confessed, her voice trembling like a fragile thread. Then let us not do this alone. You have so much talent, Emma. I know you feel lost now, but you're not just your past. You can shape your future, and I want to be there beside you, Jack replied gently. The warmth in his words felt like an anchor, and for a fleeting moment, they shielded her from the harshness of the world around her. She stood at the precipice of a decision. Was it worth risking the comfort of her sorrow for a chance at a shared dream? A burgeoning excitement ignited within her, battling against the weight of her father's legacy. In that moment of realization, Emma made a choice. Okay, she said finally, her voice steady as resolve seeped through the pores of her uncertainty. Let us build something together, something that brings his dreams to life. But we'll do it my way, no secrets. Jack's smile widened, and she felt the warmth of possibility unfurling within her. Yet, just as hope began to weave its threads through her heart, an unsettling doubt echoed. What if her next steps brought more heartache? As exhilaration turned to anxiety, the specter of her father's legacy loomed behind her, merging with the potential of her burgeoning future. The next chapter in her life would be rife with challenge and discovery, but with Jack, she would confront the shadows of her past. What lay ahead demanded courage, a confrontation not solely with external forces but with the intricate battle brewing within her. Emma could feel the pulse of ambition igniting within her, yet buried beneath it lay the fear of what might come next. She was ready to leap, but the uncharted waters of friendship and aspiration loomed around her, echoing the words spoken moments before. Uncertainty clutched at her heart, leaving her breathless. The moment of truth had arrived, but would she be prepared for what awaited her on the other side? As she squared her shoulders and turned to face the unknown, she was left questioning whether pursuit of her dreams would illuminate her path or cast her deeper into darkness. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the playground, and the chatter of children faded into a muted backdrop as Emma turned the world into a blur. A mix of excitement and dread coursed through her veins. This was the beginning, a partnership with Jack that held the promise of fulfillment yet echoed with uncertainty. Emma's mind raced with the weight of her father's abandoned visions. Each memory fought for dominance, and the boundaries of her identity blurred. Reaching for her phone, she opened the digital folder containing her father's legacy, his designs and formulas, a world meticulously crafted yet suspended in time. The cursor hovered over an image of his final project titled, Innovations for Tomorrow. A flicker of inspiration surged through her, but doubt quickly followed. Did she really possess the capacity to bring these ideas to life alongside Jack? "Hey, why don't we meet tomorrow to brainstorm?" Jack suggested, his enthusiasm palpable as he stood beside her, completely unaware of the tempest brewing in her mind. "Sure," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. Yet as the warmth of a summer breeze brushed against her skin, an internal dialogue ignited. Here she was, given the chance to not only resurrect her father's aspirations but to build something uniquely hers, molded by their shared vision. As night fell, Emma found herself at her desk, sketches sprawled across every available surface. The chaos of papers was a testament to her determination, a riot of color and form mixing with the memories of her father's wisdom. His laughter echoed through her mind, reminding her that he always believed in the transformative power of innovation. Yet self-doubt crept in. Was she merely imitating his vision, or could she carve her own path with the tools he bequeathed her? She shuffled through her father's notes, trying to connect with the brilliance that lay within them. Each line seemed to whisper, "Create, Emma. Don't just recreate." Ultimately, the only way forward was authenticity. Could she blend her passion and his legacy to forge a new identity? Fear of failure bubbled beneath the surface, threatening to overwhelm her once again. But success would require risks and a willingness to stand in the spotlight, where her father had once thrived. Picking up her pencil, a new idea began to form, a combination of her father's genius and her own unique flair. What if we focus on sustainable housing? She considered aloud, her voice cutting through the silence of the night. Something that not only honors his vision but responds to our current needs. In that moment, clarity replaced confusion. She was more than just a steward of her father's dreams, she was an architect of new possibilities. Fueled by newfound conviction, Emma pored over designs for energy-efficient homes that incorporated his innovative technologies. The idea was intoxicating, electrifying even. Discussions with Jack were imminent, but a looming specter remained. She had yet to divulge the full breadth of her plan. Hidden within those designs lay fragments of her father that came with heavy expectations. Would she prove worthy of their impact? As the night faded, Emma's heart raced with anticipation and fear, the ebb and flow of creativity battling with uncertainty. The outlines of dreams began to crystallize before her as she drafted plans, feeling a surge of purpose. Tomorrow would demand every ounce of courage she could muster. There was no backing down now. Yet, a louder voice nagged at her. What would happen when she faced Jack with her ideas? Would he embrace them, or would doubt seep in, bringing her vulnerabilities to the forefront? The question haunted her as she placed her pencil down, leaving unfinished sketches for the morning light. There was no going back, an intersection of the past and present awaited her. Tomorrow would be a turning point, one that could instigate transformation or reinforce her fears. Would her newly forged vision claim its rightful place in the world, or would it succumb to the shadows of insecurity? Emma recognized she was stepping towards something monumental, yet the vast ocean of uncertainty lay ahead. As her eyes grew heavy, exhaustion pulled her into slumber. But within her dreams, she confronted the giant of expectation, bracing for the challenge to come. Tomorrow, she thought, would unleash the depths of her conflicting desires, the moment she would truly know if she could redefine not only her father's dreams, but her own identity. The dawn would arrive soon, and as the sun broke the horizon, so too would Emma's chance to confront the greatest challenge yet, unveiling her ambition to Jack. Light spilled through the window, casting stripes across her desk. Emma awoke with an unsteady heartbeat, the weight of the day ahead pressing on her chest. The idea of sustainable housing lingered in her mind, but clarity now felt more like a fog. As she dressed, she rehearsed the conversation with Jack. Would she appear confident, or would the tremors of doubt give her away? Over breakfast, her phone buzzed. It was Jack, eager to meet at their favorite cafe. Let us kick off this project. His enthusiasm was infectious, but Emma could feel the tension coiling in her stomach. She toyed with her toast, her mind flickering between the prospect of success and a gnawing fear of judgment. The cafe was bright and bustling, filled with the warm smell of brewed coffee. As she stepped inside, she spotted Jack already seated at a corner table, sketchbook in hand, a canvas of ideas blossoming in front of him. He looked up, his smile instantly melting some of her anxiety. Emma approached, straightening her posture with every step. Here was the moment of truth. "Morning. I've been thinking about some concepts," he said, flipping the pages to reveal a series of rough sketches. "What do you think about this for our project?" Emma forced a smile, but the words she had meticulously crafted on the drive over seemed to slip through her fingers at the sight of his work. Jack's concepts were bold and innovative, yet Emma felt an urgency to assert her own vision. "Can I show you something?" she asked, her voice a mix of nervousness and determination. After she set her sketches on the table, Jack's brow furrowed in concentration, the enthusiasm on his face shifting to intrigue. "Wow, these are fantastic. You've really integrated your dad's ideas with sustainability. I love this." His praise ignited a spark of hope in her. "I thought this could bring our values together," she explained, her tone steadier now. "It's not just about building homes, but making a sustainable impact." As they mapped out the project, Emma felt the conversation flow more naturally. The fear began to subside as Jack asked questions, probing deeper into the motivations behind each design. With every exchange, her confidence solidified. She was not merely a shadow of her father's legacy, she was carving a new path, embracing her unique identity. But amidst the excitement, a new realization emerged. What if Jack's approval was not enough? Beneath the enthusiasm lay an unsettling thought: her legacy was at stake. She needed to remain true to her vision, regardless of external validation. It was pivotal that she maintain ownership of her creations, not only for herself but also for the ones who would benefit from them. As the meeting progressed, Emma's initial anxiety transformed into strength. She found herself suggesting potential marketing strategies, community engagement ideas, seamlessly weaving her father's technological philosophies with contemporary ethical demands. The more they discussed, the more she realized that embracing her father's legacy did not mean surrendering her own. Just as they were about to finalize plans for the next steps, the cafe door swung open, and an imposing figure stepped in, a corporate executive, the kind whose reputation radiated influence. Emma recognized him instantly from financial magazines. The implication hung heavy in the air. Jack glanced at Emma, his gaze narrowing with curiosity. "Do you think he'd be interested in sustainable housing?" The question blanketed Emma with sudden anxiety. Could they trust someone who thrived in traditional business models to understand their vision? Would he empower their project or dilute its essence for profitability? As Emma considered these new layers of complexity, a pulse of adrenaline surged within her. She needed to take control of how her father's dreams were manifested. Distinguishing her perspectives might shield her vision from being compromised. With determination solidifying in her gut, she knew she was ready to confront whatever challenges awaited them. But now the stakes had shifted with the presence of the executive, tainting what had begun as a celebration of their partnership. Would she prioritize raw ambition or holding true to the mission? Faces in the cafe blurred as her heart began to race, caught between the desire for success and the need for authenticity. The moment was pregnant with possibility and peril, and as her gaze returned to Jack, Emma understood that the foundations laid today could either embolden or fracture her journey. Tomorrow would not only require her to defend her vision against external scrutiny, but would test her commitment to her father's legacy versus her own nascent identity. Uncertainty loomed, and Emma knew the road ahead promised to be as unpredictable as it was transformative. The sunlight streaming through the cafe windows illuminated patches of uncertainty on Emma's face as she wrestled with her thoughts. Jack's voice momentarily faded as she considered the figure who had just entered, a harbinger of both opportunity and dread. "Emma?" Jack snapped his fingers, pulling her back. "Are you okay?" "I was asking if we should approach him." There was eagerness in his tone that grated against Emma's fraying nerves. "Approach him?" she echoed, her mind spinning. "What would they even say?" "Yeah. You know, pitch the project. If he's interested in sustainable ideas, we could really get our foot in the door." Jack's excitement was palpable, but it completely missed the deeper complexities swirling inside Emma. "Jack," she began, voice low and deliberate, "that corporate type is nothing like us. It may seem like a golden opportunity, but what if he doesn't share our values? What if he just wants to commercialize everything? Or it could be our chance to make a real difference," he countered, a hint of frustration lacing his words. "You're thinking too narrowly. This could catapult our project." Emma clenched her fists beneath the table. She admired Jack's optimism but couldn't shake the foreboding sense that aligning too closely with traditional corporate strategies might undermine everything she hoped to achieve. "We have to protect the integrity of our vision." Jack leaned back, studying her intently. "This is business, Emma. We can't afford to close doors that could open new ones. Just consider the possibilities." Caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, Emma pushed her sketches to the side. She needed clarity, not just to please Jack but to solidify her own resolve. This was not merely about individual ambition, it was about the legacy of her father, the essence of which she'd been struggling to define. As much as she dreaded confrontation, the time for decisive action was drawing near. "Let us just think it through," she finally said, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "I know this guy could elevate us, but if we go that route, what does it say about our values?" Jack scratched his head. "You're passionate. That's good. But if we want to be successful, let us not be afraid of partnerships, even if they feel a bit uncomfortable." His pragmatism sent her thoughts racing. Did she want to align her project with someone like him? Navigating the tension between ambition and authenticity was the challenge she had to face. As they continued their discussion, Emma felt her focus return. She outlined her vision for sustainable community impact. Her tone grew stronger, infused with the conviction building in her chest. The principles her father stood by were not just hand-me-down ideals. They could serve as a robust foundation for innovation and change. "Maybe we can craft our pitch, leading with sustainability," Emma suggested, feeling the confidence surge as she spoke. "We must emphasize how our approach benefits the community, not just the bottom line." Jack nodded thoughtfully, still looking skeptical yet intrigued. "Now you're talking. But we can't ignore that guy in the room. If we get his attention, won't that give us leverage?" It struck Emma then, the drama of balancing integrity with ambition wasn't merely a task, it was a crucible she had to navigate. She wasn't just fighting for her project, she was fighting for a principle she believed in. "In that case, let us prepare," she said, a blend of excitement and dread racing through her. "Tomorrow, if we get a chance, we're not just selling a project. We're defending a vision." Determination coursed through her veins. This meeting with the executive might not be a conventional opportunity. It could just as easily be a battlefield. She would have to be ready to articulate why their ideas mattered. As they pulled out their laptops to strategize, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose flickering to life. She wouldn't just participate in the power plays of corporate dynamics, she would challenge them. Her heart raced with the possibility of impact, and suddenly the day ahead felt less daunting. Just as they were finalizing their plans, a shadow darkened the table. The corporate executive was drawing near, his imposing presence magnified by the scent of expensive cologne. "Excuse me," he said, leaning down with casual authority. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about sustainable housing. This could be a very interesting venture." Emma's breath caught, the gravity of the moment crashing over her like an unexpected tide. Here it was, the intersection of her values and the undeniable allure of opportunity. "You want to share your ideas?" he prompted, eyebrow raised expectantly. Emma's heart pounded. The chance to showcase her hard-wrought vision was here, but this was also the moment she had to prove whether she could navigate the treacherous waters ahead. Would she hold firm, or would she bend to the expectations of traditional success? Taking a deep breath, she prepared to speak, ready to confront not just the executive, but herself. The stakes were higher than ever, and as she opened her mouth to respond, Emma realized this could change everything. Would her path be carved by her aspirations, or would she falter under pressure? The executive's gaze bore into her, and in that instant, the cafe blurred into an indistinct backdrop. Emma's pulse quickened as she grappled with the delicate balance between ambition and authenticity. Was she ready to toss her principles into the fray? We're exploring sustainable housing solutions that prioritize community engagement and environmental impact, Emma finally managed, her voice steadying as she leaned into the moment. We believe that real change begins with the people who will inhabit these spaces. It's not just about building homes, it's about fostering community. The executive nodded, intrigued but with an edge of skepticism. That sounds promising, but how do you plan to scale this initiative? Interesting ideas won't take root without a solid business model. The challenge was laid bare, and Emma's mind raced. She needed to present her vision while keeping it grounded. Our approach combines community input with sustainable practices to create affordable housing. We're proposing a framework that could reduce costs while enriching lives. By involving future residents in the design process, we can ensure the homes serve their needs effectively. People can be stubborn about what they want, especially in real estate, he replied, his eyebrow arched. Where do you see the revenue coming from? It was a good question, a layer of the business world Emma hadn't fully unraveled yet. She opened her mouth to respond, her thoughts flicking back to her father's dedication to integrity even in the face of adversity. What would he say? She needed a strategy that didn't compromise her ideals. Rather than extracting profits from the community, we're looking to partner with local businesses and nonprofits, Emma said, forging ahead with newfound conviction. By creating alliances, we can split costs, sharing resources while giving back to those who invest in our community. This way, we grow together. The executive's interest visibly piqued, but Emma sensed skepticism mingling with curiosity. And what makes you think larger investors would buy into this? They want to see figures, data that can assure them of a return on investment. Data can be manipulated, but community trust is earned, Emma countered, feeling embers of defiance ignite within her. By prioritizing people alongside profit, we create long-term viability. It's not just a financial transaction, it's a commitment to social responsibility. For a moment, the world remained silent. Emma clenched her fists, anticipation coursing through her veins. Here was her chance to not only relay a vision but to challenge a conventional narrative that equated success merely with profit margins. Would he understand, or would her passionate plea fall flat? The executive leaned forward, contemplating her words. How about we set up a meeting? I'd like to dig deeper into your projections and see where we can align our interests. Emma's heart raced. This was a glimmer of promise, an opportunity to weave her narrative into a broader tapestry without losing the threads of her vision. Yet the weight of his presence carried an immense responsibility, a challenge to navigate corporate cultures that often saw values as expendable. That would be amazing, Emma replied, forcing a smile that masked the whirlwind of thoughts. If this meeting came to pass, it could catalyze change. Or it could threaten everything she held dear. Jack, witnessing the interplay, narrowed his eyes, suggesting tacit approval mixed with apprehension. Emma locked eyes with him for a fleeting moment, and he nodded slightly, reinforcing her resolve. The meeting was a step, an entrance into a maze that required shrewdness. How would she maintain her integrity in the midst of negotiations? As the executive stepped away, Emma felt exhilaration clashing with doubt. She needed to fortify herself for the challenges ahead. Each choice would be pivotal, each interaction a crossroads between her ideals and the realities of ambition. Could she walk this path without veering from her moral compass? With their laptops now aglow again and plans in motion, Emma turned to Jack. I need to refine our pitch, hone in on how we communicate our values without compromising. We can't just be successful, we have to be genuine. Jack smiled, echoing the zeal she now felt simmering at her core. This could be our moment, Emma. Just don't lose sight of what we stand for. As they delved into work, Emma's thoughts were a torrent of possibilities and pitfalls. Tomorrow's meeting could crystallize her vision or challenge it to its very core. Exactly what lay ahead began to take shape, pulsating with tension between aspiration and authenticity. She sensed a confrontation from more than just the corporate world. It loomed just beyond the horizon of her own resolve. In that quiet moment before diving back into strategizing, an unease gripped her heart. Were they prepared for this impending battle for their ideals? Would they rise to defend their vision, or would they falter in the face of powerful forces seeking to reshape it? Emma exhaled slowly, steeling herself for the challenge ahead, acutely aware that the answers might lie in the very essence of who she was. The path ahead was uncharted, and with every beat of her heart, Emma understood, the time had come not just to pitch a project, but to fortify her very identity against the winds of change. Emma awoke with a jolt, her heart abruptly ricocheting against her ribcage. The early morning sun filtered through her window, illuminating the chaos of papers strewn across her desk. It was the day of the meeting, and the weight of her vision anchored her deep in thought. As she prepared, each movement felt like a microcosm of the turmoil stirring within her. She lingered over her notes, thoughts spiraling into a quagmire of self-doubt and anticipation. She inhaled deeply, reminding herself of her purpose, of the change she dared to forge in a landscape too often driven by greed. A new dawn, she whispered, almost seeking reassurance from the universe. Jack's arrival drew her from her reverie. His easy smile brought a flicker of comfort, a beacon of shared ambition. Ready to show them what we've got? He grinned, but she could see the underlying tension in his posture. Honestly? I'm terrified, Emma admitted, the admission tumbling out before she could rein it in. What if they either don't get it or want to slice through our values? Jack nodded, fully understanding her concern. They will push. Just remember, we're not just selling a concept. We're advocating for a fundamental shift in how these projects can be envisioned. He was right, and as they made their way to the meeting, Emma felt an ember of determination flickering to life in her chest. She would resist the urge to dilute her message. In that confidence, she began framing her thoughts anew. This was more than simply defending her principles. This was an opportunity to own her identity, one rooted in integrity and vision. The setting was a stark contrast to the warmth of their cafe conversation. The boardroom exuded a cold professionalism that felt suffocating. Nods and polite smiles masked an undercurrent of skepticism that twisted in the air. Emma's stomach churned. The executive nodded towards her, his gaze cutting through the haze. Let us dive into it, shall we? Emma's heart raced as she launched into her presentation. Our proposal focuses on integrating the community's needs in sustainable housing projects, not only as an aesthetic choice but as a core business strategy. She looked around the room, gauging reactions, and saw the directors shifting slightly in their seats. It wasn't as enthusiastic as she'd hoped, but it was a sign of engagement. She pressed on, outlining their plans with fervor, a tangible framework melded with purpose. Yet, the executive's piercing gaze remained. You speak passionately, Emma. But how do you reconcile ambition with this communal approach? Investors seek profit. I don't see it as a trade-off, she replied firmly, feeling the weight of her father's teachings wash over her. The more involved the community, the greater the investment in their own success. This translates to stability and therefore, sustainable returns. Waves of unease rippled through her. Each word was laced with the essence of her belief. But would they recognize her truth or dismiss it? The tension escalated as various board members exchanged knowing glances. Emma felt the primal urge to retreat, to shield her ideals from an onslaught of scrutiny. But in that moment, another voice emerged internally, bold and insistent. This wasn't just about a business model. This was about standing firm in her convictions, about revealing strengths she hadn't fully acknowledged. Emma, tell me, how will you deal with resistance in the community itself? A voice challenged, bringing an unexpected flush to her cheeks. It was a direct confrontation, and she realized she had to harness that question into an opportunity. Resistance is a part of any change, she responded, stealing glances at her notes, while also holding her ground. But fostering dialogues, genuine conversations creates space for understanding and shared ownership in the project. We will not impose, we will involve. That's how we win hearts, ensuring the project resonates with the community. She could feel Jack's gaze, a quiet anchor amid the storm. Her convictions echoed both within the confines of her mind and the room, igniting an energy that surged through her veins. The executives shifted, a blend of contemplation and intrigue flickering across their faces. The meeting shifted throughout those tense moments, and just as the executive prepared to speak, Emma sensed a pivotal juncture. Would her boldness be appreciated, or would they retreat into the safety of traditional metrics? A decision was looming, and with it, a revelation. The room remained charged as she pressed her lips together, ready to explore the depths of this critical conversation. She realized that sometimes, vulnerability could be her greatest weapon, a bridge between her ideals and the corporate frameworks that would either challenge or empower them. It was a path strewn with uncertainty, yet fraught with the possibility of profound change. As she awaited their reaction, Emma's heart thudded a steadfast rhythm. The time had come to confront the very foundations of her journey. Could she not only defend her vision but also emerge from this crucible with her sense of self intact and strengthened? The answer was cloaked just beyond the veil of their responses, and she braced herself for what lay ahead. As she stood in the charged atmosphere of the boardroom, Emma's thoughts danced between hope and fear. The executive's fingers drummed on the polished table, an impatient tempo that mirrored her racing heart. She sensed the indecision pulsing among the board members, and it was intoxicating yet terrifying. What if this moment would either cement her vision or dismantle her? Your points are intriguing, but facts and figurative sentiment aren't enough, the executive finally said, giving Emma a chance to retaliate with clarity. You've mentioned community involvement, let's talk numbers. How will you quantify success? With every pulse of her heart, each beat reminded Emma of her resolve. Might this challenge serve as a catalyst for deeper understanding? Success isn't just line graphs and percentages, she countered. It's about fostering relationships that result in long-term sustainability. While returns are crucial for investors, a thriving community strengthens their business model as well. Reflections flickered across the board members' faces. Some nodded while others looked skeptical. Emma's pulse quickened. The stakes seemed to shift, and she understood that this was an intricate game of perception and trust. Could she transform that skepticism into belief? Let me present a case due diligence requires, another executive interjected. What about your previous projects? They should serve as empirical evidence for your theory. Have you successfully executed this kind of community approach before? The challenge cut deeper than she expected. Emma felt the swell of vulnerability. Did she have valid proof to support her aspirations? Shifting slightly, she drew on memories of her past projects, her heart pulling her toward the successes she often overlooked in her quest for this current vision. Actually, we've seen positive outcomes from our pilot projects, she began, steadying her voice. She unleashed a rush of enthusiasm, recounting community collaborations, feedback loops that had created effective partnerships. While daydreaming of pipe dreams was common, these were concrete instances that affirmed her beliefs. And in confronting doubt, she solidified her faith in her vision. Jack's presence behind her bolstered Emma. He had often recounted how doubt hung over their past projects like a shadow, yet they emerged refined, stronger, and more cohesive as a team. Would this meeting be another shadow or a step into the light? As Emma wrapped up her examples, focusing on measurable impacts of community participation, she felt a shift in the room's energy. The executives leaned forward, listening intently. Courage flowered within her, spilling into her words. The trembling uncertainty gave way to a confident cadence. This is not just about our proposal, but about a shift in approach within the industry, Emma implored, her voice firm. The human element is invaluable. If we disregard people, we disregard progress. She held the gaze of the executive leader, challenging him to consider the implications of resisting change. The moment stretched. It was a tightrope walk between trepidation and determination. Then, silence ensued, thick enough to cut. Emma could feel her own pulse in her ears. What would they decide? Would her passion successfully chart the course toward her dream? Just as the executive prepared to speak again, Emma saw something flicker in his eyes. A subtle acknowledgement, perhaps? A glimmer of understanding? Interesting perspective, Emma. Let us explore this in a deeper follow-up meeting, he finally said. An unusual tension in the air shifts into a cautious intrigue. That simple phrase was a lifeline, a door left ajar amidst the flood of uncertainty. As they wrapped up the meeting, Emma felt an odd mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. They hadn't embraced her fully yet, but they hadn't shoved her away, either. Stepping back into the hallway, Jack met her with a grin. You did it. They were engaged. It's a great start. Emma returned the smile, but a felt unease loomed in the back of her mind. Had she truly made an impact, or was this a temporary concession? The question nagged at her as they walked away from the boardroom, re-evaluating every decision. The next steps were crucial. Would she fortify her ideals and face the next round, or would she allow the currents of doubt to distract her from her path? As they exited the building, Emma glanced back at the imposing structure. Change would not come easy, it never did. But the thrill of potential surged within her. She knew she had within her a strength too often underestimated. Even as hope mingled with trepidation, a new challenge awaited. Navigating the complexities of corporate partnership would not be simple. But if she could muster the conviction seen today after overcoming doubt, who knew what she might accomplish? The exhilaration of that initial victory coiled tightly around her heart, yet with it came the stark realization of her situation. The true battle lay ahead. Would she rise with it or be swept into the swell of traditionality? Emma settled into her workspace, the morning sun filtering through the blinds, casting long shadows across the floor. The epiphany from the boardroom started to take root in her mind. This was more than a fleeting moment. It was a pivotal juncture in her career. She resolved to prepare meticulously for the follow-up meeting, ready to dig deeper into her ideas and weave in the hard numbers and statistics that the executives craved. As she opened her laptop, a flood of thoughts coursed through her. She realized she had been underestimating the importance of establishing credibility amid her breathless vision. The executives wanted assurance that her concepts weren't just ideations, but tangible, actionable strategies. Could she bear the weight of that expectation? The pressure weighed on her, but the seed of determination began to sprout as she allowed herself to envision the impact her initiatives could truly have. She recalled the principles she'd learned from mentors over the years. Always have data to support your narrative, and back that narrative with emotional resonance. While the numbers could hone her argument, they weren't everything. The weaving together of stories and statistics was the tapestry of persuasive communication she needed to achieve. Emma made a plan to reach out to their pilot project as stakeholders to gather more quantitative feedback, something she could present as empirical evidence during their next discussion. Later that day, she met with Jack for lunch at their usual cafe, feeling both energized and overwhelmed. "What do you think their next move will be?" she asked, swirling her coffee nervously as she stewed in her thoughts. "Honestly? It could go either way, but they seem intrigued," Jack replied, leaning back with a thoughtful expression. "You showcased a novel approach. They're not used to hearing those ideas from a newcomer. Just remember, you have a voice and a unique perspective." His confidence in her struck a chord, amplifying that flicker of resolve resting in her mind. Emma envisioned the follow-up meeting and how she could structure her presentation. What if she could integrate a compelling narrative with tangible data? This synthesis could serve not only to present her vision but also to demonstrate its viability. She jotted down ideas on a napkin, her excitement igniting again. Time started to blur as she dove deeper into the data collection process. She crafted an outline for her presentation, intertwining statistical evidence with case studies from her past successes. As she called up stakeholders from previous projects to gather their success stories and metrics, she felt their enthusiasm mirroring her own. It was a reminder that she wasn't alone in this endeavor. She was part of something larger, even if it had felt solitary moments prior. As the days turned into weeks, Emma became more confident. She delivered presentations to her team to refine her approach, gathering constructive feedback along the way. The synergy she found with her colleagues solidified her belief not just in her proposal, but in her capacity to lead. But as every triumph she enjoyed bore a lesson, she faced unexpected hurdles. Legislative changes began to surface, initially casting shadows over her partnership propositions. Rather than succumbing to despair, Emma viewed this as another opportunity to adapt. How could she pivot her strategy to mitigate these obstacles? The question anchored her daily progress. Each challenge started to feel like a test, ultimately enriching her understanding of what it meant to lead in uncertain times. She processed these lessons as she packed her notes and materials, steadying herself for the upcoming meeting. And remember, Jack reminded her, you must own your narrative. It's your story to tell. With Jack's words echoing in her mind, Emma realized she wasn't merely presenting facts. She was advocating for a vision, for a paradigm shift in corporate ideologies that could redefine their approach to market interactions. As she approached the boardroom once more, the weight of anticipation pressed on her. Today was crucial. She had cultivated her ideas and fortified her resolve. Would she finally convince them to take the leap with her? Or would they choose to remain bound to traditional business models? The atmosphere felt electric as she took a deep breath and stepped inside. As she began to speak, she sensed an unseen barrier, a wall built from doubt and convention prepared to challenge her. The moment of confrontation had arrived. It was time to face the scrutiny of the very people whose beliefs she hoped to reshape. Days turned into a whirlwind of preparations, the follow-up meeting looming like a specter over Emma's sense of self. She had synthesized data, refined her concept, and enhanced her narrative to reflect her journey of growth. Yet, as she entered the boardroom, a familiar tension coiled within her. Would they challenge her once more? Or had she evolved into the advocate her vision deserved? The moment she stepped into the room, a new clarity washed over her. Jack sat across the table, a reassuring presence that bolstered her confidence. The executive's gaze fell upon her, a mix of expectation and skepticism dancing in his expression. Emma steadied her breath, grounding herself in the purpose that had propelled her to this day. Thank you all for meeting with us again, she began, feeling the firm grounding she had cultivated through months of planning. She articulated her case with precision, blending impact metrics with emotive narratives, creating a compelling tapestry that captured the essence of her vision. We're not just discussing houses. We're investing in communities, creating environments where people thrive. With each sentence, the atmosphere shifted. Board members leaned in, their skepticism wavering. There was a synergy forming. Every point she presented was fortified with data points from her pilot projects, illustrating measurable success and community engagement. Yet the executive's positioned eyebrow betrayed lingering doubts. But how will you ensure this translates to market success? Investors will want tangible results beyond community sentiment. That question hung in the air, a familiar challenge Emma had conquered in her mind countless times. Success, she reiterated, is rooted in earnest relationships, both with the people and the environment. When communities are engaged, investments yield returns comparable to those driven solely by profit margins. Here's how, with renewed fervor, Emma laid out her business model, carefully demonstrating how community integration would lead to sustained profitability. She shared first-hand accounts from stakeholders and policy metrics that illustrated a successful coalescence of ethical practices and budgetary gains. As she spoke, the hat of uncertainty began to crack, revealing a flicker of interest that had once appeared elusive. Emma felt the tremors of fear dissipate. Her voice gained traction, fueled by a profound realization. This was her moment, not merely a presentation but a declaration of her narrative, marking her evolution from a shadow carrying the weight of grief to a powerful architect of her own destiny. Investing in community-focused projects is an investment in ourselves, she urged, looking directly at the executive. But I need your partnership. Let us reshape the conversation around what success means in today's world. Suddenly, the room sparked with a vibrant energy. The board members were engaged, no longer passively absorbing her words but reflecting on possibilities. The executive nodded slowly, his expression transforming from skepticism to contemplation. I see merit in your approach, he acknowledged, the shift palpable. As she wrapped up her presentation, Emma felt the exhilaration of newfound hope, her aspirations blossoming before her eyes. The executive's questions, instead of pushing her into self-doubt, had acted as catalysts for richer dialogue. Together, they explored avenues of collaboration that could reshape their initial notions of profitability and community. Let us schedule a follow-up to explore this further, the executive concluded, his eyes gleaming with a sense of purpose. The words ignited a rush of elation within Emma. They weren't shutting her out, they were inviting her in. As they exited the meeting, the weight of the world felt lighter on Emma's shoulders. The fear and sorrow that once burdened her were now merely shadows of her past, a past she had risen above. Every confrontation had become an opportunity. Every moment of apprehension had transformed into an embrace of newfound strengths. Emma had proven to herself that she was not just the legacy of her father's dreams, she was a pioneer forging new paths. Jack turned to her with an infectious grin. You are unstoppable, Emma. This is just the beginning. As they stepped into the bright daylight, Emma felt a warmth inside that transcended the anxieties of the past. She had dismantled the barriers blocking her vision and emerged victoriously, a confident innovator equipped with a durable identity. The weight of her father's dreams no longer felt burdensome. They stood alongside her as guiding stars, illuminating her path forward. With a clear sense of purpose, she had conquered her personal and professional conflicts, solidifying her place in a world she would now contribute to on her own terms. Lessons learned, Emma was ready to redefine success, ready to impact lives, ready to leap into tomorrow with hopeful ambition. Now, it's your turn to seize your own journey of transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire personal growth. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support your favorite channel. Comment below with your reactions and theories about Emma's journey and what you hope to see next. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It could ignite the spark they need to start their own journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.